Welcome back, everybody, to your final season edition of Infinity Link podcast. It's your boy Drew, alongside my guy Don J. We ready to rock it for you. Sad moments to go, but we're gonna get through it together, y'all.
Yes, sir. Thanks for the fine introduction there. As always, Don J, Drew, back with another episode of Infinity Link, Everything Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Yeah, we're dogs right now, licking our wounds right now.
Mm, 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 mm.
Tough one, but I enjoyed every second of it. One of the
Yep,
best Super Bowls I've seen in the last decade, I will say for sure.
absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, starting off with the Super Bowl, we're gonna dive into some other things, some off-season things as well. But Super Bowl versus the Chiefs, man. Not what we wanted. Didn't
Mm,
end
mm,
the way
mm.
we wanted it to. That part really hurt.
Tough way to
Amazing
lose,
game.
man.
Yes, sir. But like diving right into the meat of things, the first in the game, I'm surprised Andy Reid kicked it to us to start the game after
Yeah,
winning the toss.
I thought so too. Yeah, that definitely caught me off guard.
Yeah, I was like, all the first series touchdowns that we scored this year, and they kick it to us. I was like, okay,
Exactly. Well, and I mean, one of my points of emphasis was get out to an early lead. We play better when we play from ahead. It worked all year for us. Finally came back to bite us. So, tough one, man. I'm still reeling. I don't think I've watched 10 minutes of Sports Center all week. I ain't been paying attention to much of the shows. I've got my information off social media basically for the past week on how things are moving. Because yeah, I'm still not even ready to watch highlights yet, man. It's too painful, man. We had it and let it slip through our fingers, but got to give credit and caps off due to where it was for the Chiefs. A lot of different opinions have been thrown around about the game, but when you look at the facts of it, we didn't get any stops in the second half. Our defense, which had, carried us at times during the year, just didn't seem to be able to get a stop. And how he decided after the game, I guess enough was enough.
yeah, man. But diving right into the game, like kicking it off to us, as I said, surprise Andy Reid kicked it off to us to start the game. And what did we do? We went and scored on the first drive,
Yep,
11 play drive,
what we do.
75 yards, and a touchdown. Amazing way to kick off the Super Bowl, nonetheless. Had everyone feeling great. I mean, how do you not feel great after that? Jalen
Right.
Hurts capped the drive with the 1 yard rush, man, which we're about to see the Hurts rule come pretty soon.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't that crazy though? Out of all the things that they could go and correct, and I mean, I'm starting to become of a proponent, and like I told you, I'm not making excuses for this. But I'm starting to become a proponent of needing calls to be under review. You got to be careful with the scope that you go of it, because it all comes down to stopping the game, and you don't want to slow the pace of the game any more than you already have. But there's got to be some kind of accountability, man, because I mean, to see in almost every playoff game, if you think back to it, all throughout the entire playoffs, there was at least, especially in the close games, just questionable calls, man. That you know, it's one thing, and this is the only thing I'll say, and I'll get off the hill about the officiating. But if you're not going to call something at the beginning of the game and you don't call it all throughout the game, don't decide to blow your whistle for it in the fourth quarter. I've told you I ain't watched a whole lot, but I have done my little Twitter research and stuff, and went out and seen clips of the game, and one of the things that we talked about going into the game is we wanted to see the officials let them play. We knew the official led the leg in flags. His crew had the most flags out for the year. And, for the most part of the game, I think that it was a very well officiated game. It's just sad to see it go down to, but I guess that's the age we live in now.
Yes, sir. Going on that first drive, back to it. It seemed like Kenneth Gainwell, Kenny G broke one very early, but he was real short, and Hurts ended up capping it. I was so happy for Kenny G, man, and then it was just
Man,
short. I was like, give it back to him, man. You got to give it back to him. Let him do it
man.
again.
And I mean, besides really that Kenny G run and the first drive and maybe a couple of other ones, I mean, most of our rushing yards came from Jalen. You know, the Chiefs did an excellent job of eliminating the first threat that the pundits have said, you know, and it's one of the things I enjoyed the most about this game. All the pundits and all the trash talkers all week long said if they can stop the run, you know, they've got us beat. Our offense won't be able to move like it does, blah, 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 blah. I mean, the Chiefs, I can't think of many runs that went for more than 10 yards for us. You know, they were able to run the ball quite a bit better, but you know, for the most part, the Chiefs did a really good job of stopping the run. But also, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit later, you know, the playing field was terrible too. So we were, you know, too many excuses, you know, the way it sounds, but it's just, you know, both players had to play on the field, you know, so shout out to the winners, but I don't ever want to see a Super Bowl again that looks like it's on ice.
Yeah, man. I'm not sure if it was just the turf or the fact that they painted those large logos on the turf,
Right.
but yeah, I definitely love to see more arenas where people are playing on grass. I know the Super Bowl likes to host things indoor, and a lot of people have went over to the artificial turf. I mean, quite honestly, I mean, it's
Yeah.
easier to maintain and cheaper
Well,
once
and on
installed.
Tony's punt return, last point to that, on Tony's punt return, he himself slipped like three times before he finally busted it open on us.
Yeah.
So you know, it's just you saw it all game, whether it was Chiefs players or Eagles players, and like you said, especially the closer they got to the logos, it just was a slip and slide out there.
Yes, sir. After we scored that first drive, Chiefs march right back down and score which was coincidental, a 75-yard drive, but they did it on 6 plays compared to our 11 on the first drive. And yeah, it was some big plays there. Pacheco made a huge run, 24 yards down the field to set him up real nice. And then Travis Kelce capped that out. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people won prop bets on that, considering Hurts scores the first touchdown for us. And then Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown, or however you place the bet on that. I'm
All
pretty
right,
sure a
or
lot of
even
people
just the
lost.
first two touchdown scores. You know, that was a pretty good indication of how both teams got a majority of their touchdowns all the year long.
Yeah. And then next drive after that, we went 3-and-out with a punt. Chiefs actually marched back down the field again, going 7 plays, 42 yards, and Booker missed a unconventional, I want to say it was about a 42-yard field goal. That's
Yeah,
something I think is pretty much automatic for him. As
where I
somebody I
started thinking things might be our day. You know, that's where I started really thinking that, you know, is Butker doesn't really, it's especially those field goals. You know, he's been clutch for them. I know he had some issues this year. And, you know, like I said, I won't keep going on it and harping on it. But if you watch him on that field goal, he stumbled just a little bit as well.
yeah, man. Uh, After that missed field goal, we go back, march down the field, and score a huge touchdown. That pass to AJ Brown that he threw him open.
Beautiful.
Uh, I'm not sure if the DB could have played any better defense because I mean he
Right.
was in position for a majority of it. It was double teamed down there too, and Brown just did a great job of tracking that
Just into
ball.
the ball, and
Yeah.
Jalen put it in a spot where only AJ could get it. It really, that play right there symbolizes Jalen Hurts' development as a quarterback and what a receiver like AJ Brown can do for you. Because that ball was, like I said, put where only AJ was going to be able to make a play on it, but he had to adjust himself to do it. So, and I mean, that's not something that's easy to do, to completely contort your body and get to the sideline for a grab, you know, in mid route. So shout out to both gentlemen. It really showed, you know, the chemistry that they have with each other. We tried to go back to the play later in the game, and Jalen about the only ball he threw all day that about got picked. So you know, it looking forward to seeing that development go even further, you know, than year one. We know Jalen's going to be hungry in the offseason. I don't know how much you guys have heard of AJ Brown's comment, but besides going at Juju, AJ really hasn't. He's hurt, man. You can tell he's hurt. You can tell, they thought they had this game won, and it's part of it, man. I think just about 90% of Philadelphia probably thought they had the game won too. So,
Yes, sir. And that catch that AJ made, I hope other organizations look at it as well. That is what having a number one receiver can do for your
absolutely.
quarterback. Make
Absolutely.
amazing plays
But it
like
also
that.
gives him the confidence to put that ball up too. Yeah,
Yes,
I mean, I don't think now the way that Jalen played this year, I will say that I don't think it mattered who it was in a green jersey. He would have attempted that throw, but I don't think anybody else other than AJ or Smitty could have went and made that play on the ball either.
for sure, for sure. Uh, After that big touchdown there, we forced another punt to the Chiefs, and at this point, it's 7-14, all Eagles. Next drive is where it all falls down in the words of Kanye West, man. One of
Going
my favorite
in
Kanye
for a
West tracks.
major score too, just that's going to haunt him all off season, man. The type of player he is. He's probably watched the film at least once a day, I'm sure, from that fumble. So I know it'll end up making him better in the long run. But man, what a tide turner!
Yeah, man, for sure. Tied the game up. Hurts came immediately back out, led us on a 12-play drive, 7-minute drive at that for 75
Mm-hmm.
yards to put us back up 21-14. And on this one, Hurts wound up running this one in. Very good drive. That was his second rushing TD of the game,
Yeah,
and second rushing TD, third TD. He had 3 touchdowns in the first half. The 2 runs, and of course the 45-yard bomb to AJ Brown, which he did an amazing job, as we mentioned, of contorting his body to secure that catch. So 21-14 at this point. We did force the Chiefs on a punt the very next drive. They went 5 plays, 9 yards, wasn't on the field a minute.
right.
And this drive, another crucial one. So here, honestly, should have been 28-14.
Mm-hmm. Settling
I'm
for three
thinking,
hurt.
yes, that catch that was ultimately reversed from Smitty.
Ugh.
I can see it both sides, but
Yep.
it's like what I say with the NFL today. I'm not just gonna say it's because of us, but nobody truly knows what a catch is anymore.
No, no. And the thing that made me the most mad about Smitty's play is they didn't have and from what we've all been known to understand, it has to be clear, indisputable evidence to overturn the call. Well, I'm assuming the officiating or the officials had a view that they didn't get back in the truck. Because there wasn't a view of that play where you could definitively say he lost that ball. So I know that haters and pundits are going to say what they're going to say, but if you be all the way objective about that call, I mean, when you look at it and you review it and you look at the evidence that we had, I mean, you have to let whatever you called on the field stand. So if they called it incomplete, no proof that he caught the ball either. So I'm not going to sit there and say that there was definitive evidence that he caught that ball, but you have to, in my opinion, stick with the call that you had on the field there.
All right, I'm gonna give my complete honest opinion, and this is not even a biased opinion. There's 3 processes to the catch in which I believe Smitty completed all of them. He caught it with 2 hands. He pinned
Mm-hmm.
it against his helmet, took
Mm-hmm.
one hand off the ball, right hand, ball on helmet, secured. He was breaking his fall with his left, has control with the ball, going out of bounds with his knee, left knee, I believe, hit the ground. At that point, I believe the process of the catch was complete. And he
Absolutely.
went down to the ground. Of course, the ball moved. Definitely not going to say that, but he still had control of it.
Right. Right.
And he never lost it. My
It
personal
goes back
opinion,
to that Zach Ertz catch in our last Super Bowl. And
I
I'm
think the
like I
Boston
said, I'm not
Scott
going to
one
get
was
into the
more overturn worthy.
right, right. And see, and that's where they added after that Super Bowl, if you don't remember, they added the whole definition of the rule book to they had to complete the process through the ground. So that's supposed to be the fourth element now. But like you said, it just if they officiated it one way and left it that way, it would make sense. But it's just, I mean, and that's another thing about, you want to talk about what you could look at fixing in the off season. I mean, to me, that quarterback sneak is the epitome of football. Your guys line up versus my guys. You know exactly what's coming. We're gonna punch you in the mouth. You better hit me in the mouth first. I think that they could use a lot better of their off-season planning to go towards things like, let's finally figure out the process of a catch, because it's been 4 years now, even more since the whole Des Bryant debacle. So, how long have we been dealing with this, man? And every year we get a new definition of what a catch is supposed to look like.
Yes, sir. So with that being overturned, we did end up settling for a field goal. One thing I love that Shane Steichen was able to do was always, as I mentioned, even going into the 49ers game, we talked about getting our receivers out in space,
Mm-hmm.
because they can do great things after the catch. Smitty played a wonderful game. I didn't foresee anything less than what he did in that game, because just looking at that man's career, he's done amazing things in those
Absolutely.
big time games for sure.
Absolutely.
So 24-14 going in the half, and right before the half, that last Chiefs drive, seemed that Mahomes hurt his ankle. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
seem like he could really put a lot of weight on it and things like that. Got aggravated. So going into halftime, that was a big thing. And I was saying to myself the whole time watching Rihanna perform is, I hope they're keeping that man's ankle warm, man, because once that thing tightens up or whatever, it's hard to get it
It's
back
over.
loose. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
immediately coming back out after that halftime performance, he proved that ankle was damn okay, because they went right down the
Mm-hmm.
field, 10 play drive, 75 yards, and
That
scored a
good dope,
touchdown.
man. that good dope, man. I was telling the guys in the group chat, I said, well, especially after the game, I said, well, he got shot up with some good stuff. I said, that man gonna be doing the stanky leg for the next 6 weeks.
Yes, sir. Pacheco capped their first drive off with a 1 yard rush, man. I'm actually glad Andy Reid gave him some shots to run the ball and didn't really try to shuffle up the running backs as I've seen him previously
that
do.
their running game did exactly what everybody said ours would do all year. And that's what was best for his ankle as well. As they really, if you think about it, their running game led the charge. We was able to get it under control at points in the game, but I mean, Pacheco had I don't know how many yards he ended up with, but I can think of at least 3 or 4 10-yard runs that he broke off. Of course, he did get drilled in the hole by CJ. But
What you got fined for? Did you
that
see
goes
that?
back to Andy and their whole offense. They really neutralized our line and used the running game to do it.
Yeah, did you see CJ got fined for that hit, man?
That I watched the hit again, and I don't understand why. Besides, he blew him up. What'd you find him
Yeah,
for talking afterwards? Okay, maybe that's what he did.
I don't know, but I thought that was
That was a
unbelievable.
textbook. I mean, go watch it. Anybody go back and watch that hit. He is shouldered down. He leads with he didn't lunge. He let his momentum carry him into the ball carrier. And I mean, he swacked him. It's one of those that I guess I don't get it, man. At the end of the day, it's still football. So unless you're going to throw flags on everybody, you can't just because somebody got blown up, it's going to happen, man. These are grown athletes that, there's 350-pound dudes out there that run 4.6 40s. It's ridiculous.
Man, for sure. And after that drive they scored, we went down, kicked another field goal where I wish we would have certainly scored. Had another controversial catch on that drive. Dallas go there. Caught a pass 17 yards downfield. Beautiful throw by Hurts, by the way. It was the throw of the night, if I
Absolutely.
have to say.
Yeah.
And that one stood. I was like, well, I thought this was going to be overturned since the first one
That
got
was
overturned.
right.
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
this is
so
the
what they
overturnable one, I
overturned? I
think,
was
but
like,
okay.
and I even told the people at the party I was at, I said, they'll probably take this one back. You can clearly see him have to reestablish possession, and he no. But see, in my opinion, that's how the first call should have went too. You could not clearly and definitively tell whether his left foot was still on the ground when he regained possession. They couldn't get a definite answer, so they left the call as it was. That to the letter of it was supposed to be the whole deal when we even got replay was that, if it's too close to call and it's a judgment call, leave the judgment back on the official who made the call. But I'll digress, man. Me and Roger are gonna have a talk next week.
Yes, sir. So kick the field goal. We end up going back up 27-21. Chiefs come down 75-yard drive.
Like
Nine
butter, man.
minutes.
Our defense was so bad in that second half. We looked like we was running that sticks defense with Jim Schwartz out there again. But you know what? I'm not even going to clown him like that because I think Jim Schwartz would have been able to at least not have the same play beat us twice in a row.
Yes, sir. That came alive. Pacheco had some great runs on this drive. Juju got
Yep.
involved. Uh, yeah, Juju got involved handsomely on this one. And then Kadarius Toney with that motion play that Eric Bieniemy got from old Dougie Fresh with the
Yeah, I was going to
Jags.
wonder if you knew that or not with the Agnew stuff. That's and how much does that hurt as an Eagles fan to know that both of your old coaches conspired right there to a play that basically kept you from your second Super Bowl?
Yes, sir. And yeah, big drive nonetheless.
But then, but then time and see, man, that's why I'm not too upset about this game, and I have a lot of hope for us as Eagles fans moving forward. And I have no equivocation to sit here and say till I'm blue in the face, we will be back sooner rather than later. Because time and time again, man, I thought when they grabbed the lead, I said, "Oh crap, my stomach!" I got the pit in my stomach. I said, "This might be it. We might go down the field, and this might be where Jalen puts one in the other team's hands." Or no, we marched right back down that field. And shout out to Jalen, man. I can sit here. We could talk the rest of the time about him and his development this year and what he means as to the Philadelphia Eagles moving forward. But man, we're in good hands, Eagles fans. We can lick our wounds and patch them up and stitch ourselves back up because we got a fight to be ready for next year, and it's going to start next week.
Yes, sir. So after that touchdown, the Kadarius Toney, passing the playoff, Darius Slay, man to man. And yeah, it was just a wonderful drawn up play. And I know I
Mm-hmm.
shot you some footage that I seen something from Steve Sarkisian in a college football championship that they did with Smitty to help him get out in space. I was like,
Yep,
it's like the same concept. I was
the
like,
same concept. Yep, yep.
get your guy
So
out
I
in
mean, and,
space,
and that
moseying
just
around.
shows you how deep Andy's bag goes. And you know what? I'm not going to be one of those idiots and just give Andy all the credit. And congratulations, we're getting ready to get to know him a lot more over the next few years to Eric Bieniemy on his new coaching job with the Washington Commanders. But they had our number, and that was the one thing, as Eagles fans, we complained about with Jonathan Gannon was second half adjustments, especially against primetime quarterbacks. And, it bit us. It bit us in the end.
Yes, sir. So after that Kadarius Toney touchdown, we went three and out and had to punt, and this was where things took another swing. Pretty much botch punt. Um, I'm pretty sure he slipped a little bit, but low hanging kick. Kadarius Toney brings it back darn near all the way, and they basically run the same play to Sky Moore on the opposite side of the field, and Bradbury did the same thing that Slay did, passed it off, and nobody was.
To Avante. I mean, if you watch, so Avante overplayed, and I think that's something that they saw a lot on the Eagles from film with a man in motion. Is you do that pass off, where Bradbury passed it off to Maddox. Maddox come running toward the inside. By the time they snap the ball, Maddox is standing over there next to TJ, you know, and all Scott Moore had to do was just run over to the left. There was nobody there because the route had already taken Bradbury across the field. We were in man, and hey, that is scouting, guys. That is what you do, and that is why you run plays that look like each other at certain times in the game, because you want to see how the defense reacts, because you've been working on things for 2 weeks in this situation, so that you have a plan A and a plan B for how the defense reacts. They watched off first half how we reacted to their motion, and in the second half, when it mattered the most, they used it to their benefit.
Yes, sir. And just to show the poise of Jalen Hurts, he comes back down and marches the ball right
Right
back
down.
down the field.
Right down.
Yes, first
Dime.
two.
And I hate to cut you off, my dog. I screamed louder at the TV than I probably have all season when Smitty stepped out of bounds. I still do not know why that boy stepped out of bounds. He did, and it's okay. It happens. We got right back in the end zone. But I thought to myself, as soon as he stepped out of bounds, I said, "Oh no, he stepped out at the one. We're going to end up getting stuffed." But shout out, you can't stop us in short yardage situations. Shout out to the offense and Jalen Hurts. We 2 plays later was right in the end zone.
Yes, sir. And beautiful pass. Not sure how Smitty got this wide open. And yeah,
No,
he was a little off balance, man. Trying to go into the end zone. I'm glad he secured the catch.
right.
Because we had a play earlier in the year with Quez. He caught a bomb, fell, got back up, and the ball got punched like right out from him. So I'm glad
Yep.
Smitty was able to control
Cost us
the.
our perfect season at that point.
Yes, sir. And great thing, Hurts capped it back off. Chiefs march right back down the field. Another controversial drive. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm. It
Chiefs
just
get down.
sucks to end like that, man. You don't want to see everyone talking about a call after a game. I hate that. I grew up in a family where my grandfather was an official, retired in the Hall of Fame in Kentucky for officiating. So I've grew up learning that officials are doing a job, and they're never going to be perfect. They're going to miss calls. They're doing the best of their job, and I've tried the hardest to lay off of them. But the first thing that you see when you flip on the TV after a football game, you do not want it to be the officials. You want it to be the athletes on the field, and it just puts a damper on what you said was probably the greatest Super Bowl of the decade thus far.
Yeah. So Bradbury got called for the hold on Juju. It was a very valid call. I was like, because you can do basically what pass interference is until they get 5 yards. So he negated that by holding him not once, but twice. Patrick Mahomes threw it. I'm not sure if he's seen the hold, but the pass was certainly uncatchable. But that doesn't
Yeah,
matter when the call is defensive holding and not
right,
defensive pass interference.
right.
Um, and yeah, we had a minute 54 left on the clock. It was 3rd and 8. That incomplete would have put them at 4th and 8, and ultimately they would have went to kick the field goal, and we would have had plenty of time left on the clock to march down the field
Oh,
and kick
oh,
another
what could
field
have been?
goal or score a touchdown, of course. Very next play, 1st and 10, after they call the hold, and Jerick McKinnon goes left in, and our defense just did their best impression of a
A
matador
statue, yeah,
and just
a
try to let him run
statue.
in. And McKinnon was so smart that he slid down right at what was it? It was like the 2 yard line or something crazy like
Mm-hmm.
that.
I mean, his momentum damn near carried him into the end zone. But yeah, he and think about that. As a young child. we all grow up in the backyard, scoring a touchdown in the Super Bowl, scoring the game winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. And what a presence of mind and a team player. And shout out to Greg Olson on the broadcast, too, for letting America know so that, when he slid down, there wasn't a big so shout out to the team play of the Chiefs there, knowing the situation just goes to show how good of a coach Andy is. And yeah, man, it broke our heart. And I will say one thing as far as the Bradbury stuff goes. The man told you it was a hold. He held him. If you look, especially now that the NFL Films version of it's come out, you can see it was a hold. So here's my one answer to that. And it was actually brought up. I can't remember what commentator brought it up after the game. But that's why you don't wear black gloves when you're playing a team that has on white jerseys. It makes it 10 times easier to see Bradbury grabbing and pulling him. As opposed to had he had on white gloves and a white jersey, it's a lot easier to blend in. So those are just small, minute details that you see the great ones put out there. The great defensive coordinators. It may have even been Rex Ryan that mentioned it about the gloves. Very well respected defensive minded coach. But that's just a little thing, man, that goes to it. And I will say my only defense for James in that situation was he did it to Juju most of the game. There was a play over the middle. I believe it was it was when they actually on a drive where we stopped them. I believe it was a third down play where Juju came over the middle of the field. And I mean, Bradbury damn near turned him on the left-hand side. You could see his arm go flying out, and Juju went crazy when he didn't get the call. So you had already set that precedent that you were letting that stuff go, so don't decide to choke up your whistle in the fourth quarter when the game's on the line. If you didn't decide to choke it up in the second half, that's the one thing I cannot stand about officiating is you are not supposed to officiate the fourth quarter any differently than you did the first quarter. And I don't care if it's the first 2 minutes of the game or the last 2 minutes of the game. Your job as an official is to be the same throughout the game. And that's the problem we have is there ain't a damn official out there that does it.
Yes, sir. So Chiefs kicked the field goal, end up winning 38-35. More so looking into the future of things, we got our quarterback. Hurts arguably outplayed Mahomes. He showed he can make the passes. He led us to a touchdown immediately after that fumble return for a touchdown. He made a lot of incredible throws, and after everything, the interviews still picturesque. He remains humble, and we're gonna have to find a way to pay that man. Well, not find a way. I'm still wondering what kind of contract we're gonna give him. I kind of hope we do kind of go like the Mahomes route, like that 10-year contract deal. So,
Yep.
I mean, it's gonna be worth it because the numbers in 10 years that quarterbacks will be being paid will be
It's going to be
astronomical.
astronomical, especially when you got the salary cap bump coming. And I think it's something that I've heard talked about, and the Eagles would be smart enough to get Jalen done first. Now, if Jalen's agent is working on getting him the most money, that. But you know what? I don't know if you heard his answer. So they asked him back at NovaCare when it was locker cleanout day about his contract. And he basically looked at that man and said, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about winning championships. There'll be a time and a day for that conversation, but that ain't today. And just, Jalen is, if you have a son, he's the kind of man you want your son to grow up to be with the character and integrity that he shows. And if you have a daughter, he is the kind of man that you hope your daughter ends up with. I would fully, be blessed to have a son come in with the integrity and the character that young man has. And that's one of the things that I think we've been missing in Philadelphia. We had a false prophet there. Turns out, that he was only that way when everything was going his way. He obviously, you heard from several teammates, he is not the man that he claims to be. We won't even give him the dignity of mentioning his name. But yeah, it's just, what a great leader we have for a franchise. And that's why my hope will remain as high as long as Jalen Hurts is here. because that man just has that it factor that so many out there are missing with talent. And he's you're not going to outwork him. There won't be a person that works harder this offseason than Jalen Hurts in the entire NFL.
Yes, sir. So to round out the end of this show, I want to talk about looking forward to the draft. I think
Mm-hmm.
we should focus more on the offense.
Okay. Okay.
I personally think that we should trade back from 10
Okay. I'm with you.
and go buy John Robinson
Okay.
because
So
our
are you drafting him in the first round is my only question, because it's so you just don't see it no more in this league, to where, and I mean, the kid is a great talent. Do not get me wrong. I just don't know that there will be, and I'm probably gonna be wrong. Watch, the man will end up getting drafted like 15th or something like that. I don't see an NFL team with the shelf life that these running backs have now. I just don't see a team jumping up there and wasting their first round pick on them. Especially when, I mean, this draft has got studs, y'all. So if you're not up on the players in this draft, you definitely should be starting to check out YouTube. Make sure you watch the pro days, the combine, and all that stuff when they come up, because there's some special kids in this draft.
yeah. And personally, I think Bajan is a top 10 talent, just
Oh,
like straight down
absolutely. If
the
he was
board.
drafted back when Ricky Waters played, man, he's going number one. That's how good this kid is.
Yeah, he's shifty, he catches the ball. I feel like he would give us a complete package and another weapon right next to Hurts in our RPO
Mm-hmm.
offense. I kind of don't foresee Miles coming back.
No,
Reason
I
being
don't.
is it's going to have to be team friendly. And there's teams out there like let's say the Panthers who just traded away uh their starting running back, Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers. I can see someone like him offering more than what would be willing to offer Miles
Exactly.
Sanders.
Exactly.
And like,
And I don't know if you heard or not, but there apparently was a little blow up on the sidelines between him and Nick at the Super Bowl, and that's why you didn't see Miles in the second half of that game after he fumbled. Well, I'm sorry, it wasn't a fumble; it was an incomplete pass. In my opinion, was the right call. He didn't make the correct moves to complete the process. But after that, I don't even think we saw Miles again. After that, I don't think he got another carry.
yeah. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to resign after Hurts. I say go CJ,
Yep.
Hargrave, and yeah.
I
Um,
hope the intel I got today is true, but from the sounds of it, Eagles fans, and I'm just gonna brace y'all for it. We want CJ. He is off-season priority number one. It sounds like, after taking care of Jalen and all that. Um, but it sounds like the price tag might be more than we're willing to pay. That's the news I got today. I hope it is wrong.
yeah. But we're definitely going to have another episode after, of course, off-season signings leading up to the draft and everything. As more things become clear, definitely our Super Bowl window is very much wide open, especially if
Absolutely.
Hurts continues to progress or even play at a pace that he played this year. There will be a lot of changes. Got 20 pending free agents or so. And yeah, it's going to be some of our young players that are going to have chances to step up. Howie's going to get incredibly flexible with the cap, of course.
Oh,
Um,
he'll do his thing. He always does.
yeah,
I have learned to trust that. I just hope that this season doesn't make him start feeling himself a little too much. Because I mean, Howie's a bad boy. We'll give you your props where it's due, but don't start feeling yourself too much, man. Because you can become Chip Kelly next season.
yes, sir. But always, Don and Drew, Infinity Link, Everything Philadelphia Eagles podcast. We'll catch you all on another episode. Amazing
Yes,
season.
sir.
Thank you all for the ride, and we'll be
Thanks for
speaking to
tuning
you
in.
again
Stay with
soon.
us with the off season, y'all. We got some good stuff coming in for you. I know we hurting right now, man, but tomorrow the sun will shine again, and we got a lot to be proud of with the season we had, and a lot to look forward to in the seasons ahead, man. Stay with us, y'all.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.